the state of this. I should really not grow out my beard. Like a gay fiddler on the roof. Hey, welcome to 2022. I would have loved, absolutely loved this video to be the final episode in my guitar playlist, showing the finished product of how I built this guitar and everything's cool and here's how it works. But unfortunately, I am waiting for our friends in the East over at AliExpress to send those last two elements, those little tiny little things that I'm waiting for and have been waiting months for. But what I usually do around this time is a Game of the Year video. I mean, technically a Game of the Year video should have been a week ago, but I mean, as you can see, I'm back in the office. I'm busy, so you know what? It's never a Game of the Year video anyway. Me and my friends, we don't do Game of the Year. We do Game of our Year. So, for example, a Game of the Year would suggest that the game came out in, 2021. Whereas we do things a bit differently. We do games that we have played that year. So they don't necessarily have to have come out that year. So the games of my year this year, there are SNES games on there. There obviously is an Amiga game on there. And as well as games that did come out that year, there are, a couple of others that were a little bit older. PS1, PS2, that kind of thing. 2021 was really weird. I mean, for a lot of reasons, 2021 was really weird. But 2021's been super weird. I don't know if this happens to any of you, but I have this thing where I will try play a game for 10 minutes. And for whatever reason, I just fall off. I can't see what everyone else sees. Most famously, for me personally, is The Witcher 3. I have played the first half hour to an hour of that game multiple times, and I just can't get it. I just don't see what everyone else sees. It hasn't got there yet. It hasn't got its hooks in. And that's been my thing for ages with multiple different games. And for whatever reason, whether it be in lockdown or, here in the UK, 2021, we were kind of in lockdown, we were kind of out of lockdown, you have to do different things at different times. It's all kind of up in the air. No one really knows what's going on, including the people that make the rules. I think because of the people that... Anyway, so for whatever reason, 2021 was the year where I was like, I'll try it again. And it just got its hooks into me multiple times. There are several games on this list, which this is my Game of the Year list. This is the games that really, really spoke to me this year. And they're games that I've played a little bit, and then started again, and then a couple of years later started again, and then a couple of years later started again. But 2021, for whatever reason, so many of these, the games that you're about to see in this list, just got their hooks into me, and I absolutely love. Some of them were just out the blue random finds. A couple of them I had never heard of, and then absolutely fell in love with. No one speaks about a couple of these, and I absolutely, adore. Some of them I found browsing the bottom of CEX, some of the PlayStation 2 stuff. Some of them were released this year and I knew nothing about because I don't really watch trailers or anything. So when they came out, they were a complete surprise and blew me away. This year's been crazy for that. Because it's my list and I can basically do whatever I want, here are 13... Well, actually, I say 13. One of them is actually 4 games in one. So here are my top 13... parentheses 17 question mark close parentheses games of my year list. Man, that's a big title. 13 doesn't really sound a lot, but there are a lot of honorable mentions. A lot of honorable mentions. Maybe I should put them on the screen. If I can figure it out, they are scrolling past right now. Either down here, maybe going up, I don't know, maybe across here. Depends, I don't know. I'm kind of... This was supposed to be my guitar video, so I don't know. Maybe I'll figure it out. But yeah, there are plenty of honourable mentions of games that I absolutely loved. There are also games that I'm currently playing that aren't on this list that came out last year. For example, Back 4 Blood. I really, really like Back 4 Blood. Haven't finished it. and I'm only sort of like diving into it every now and again with my mates. So even though I really like it, didn't make the list. So yeah, these are games that I have played this year and really loved this year and finished this year. This video should have been a week ago. Last year. So yeah, and also because I like all of my videos to have some kind of weird challenge associated with it, like, you know, how cheap or how quickly or can it be done in my lunch break, you know, stupid stuff. I'm going to limit my video clips and my description of why I like them, voiceover wise, to 60 seconds a piece. So I've got to squeeze everything I liked about this game, how I found it, what I liked about it, and why you should play it into 60 seconds. So that'd be fun. So yeah, here are my games of my year, 2021. Alright, cool. Let's have a look. Okay, and coming in at number 13 in a move that should surprise absolutely nobody if you've watched anything on my channel is an Amiga game. The game that I discovered in 2021 was a game called Switchblade II. Now, the Amiga had lots of specific genres. The two that were like really popular on it though were platform games where you sort of run from one end of the screen to the other collecting gems, usually in European platformers, and scrolling shooters, either horizontal or vertical. I always assumed that Switchblade 2, a name that I heard a lot, was a scrolling shooter, similar to like Silkworm or something like that. It turns out that it's a fantastic platformer. The difference is, though, that these platformers, the levels are huge, encourage verticality, and also encourage exploration. Like, you're supposed to hunt in nooks and crannies for little secrets that then open up into these cavernous areas. Really good. Highly recommended. Okay, and coming in next, we have Wonderboy 3, or Wonderboy and the Dragon's Trap, depending on which port you're playing. A fantastic, almost Metroidvania game. I define Metroidvanias as I can see a thing, I can't reach it, I'll come back later when I've unlocked a new power. If the game does that, then to me it's a Metroidvania. Fantastic. I mean, the version you're looking at here is from the PlayStation 4 remake. I am assuming they're simulated, but the hand-drawn sprites and backgrounds are incredible. You can even see, and again, I'm assuming this is simulated, but you can even see the texture of the canvas that it was painted on underneath. The attention to detail is amazing. However, it was ported to everything back in the day, so you have a choice of Master System, Game Gear, and I think my favourite port, and one if you're looking to play the classic version, is the PC Engine version. Really good. Coming in at number 11, we have a game which I bought completely blind and bought only because I liked the name and I liked the image that went along with that name. The game itself is called Trigger Witch, and it is exactly what it sounds like. You play a witch. Unfortunately, that all magic has been banned, and what has been replaced is ballistic weapons, so Kalashnikovs, pistols, and the like. The game looks like A Link to the Past, but plays a little bit like Enter the Gungeon. To be as reductive as possible, it is Enter the Gungeon, but with a really compelling story to go along with it. Fantastic graphics, the difficulty ramps up supremely, and I just want to say here, without spoiling it, the ending is maybe one of the best endings and best final bosses I have seen or fought since Wolfenstein 3D. Really highly recommended. Coming in next, we have, again, another complete blind buy for me. Based on a movie I haven't seen, mostly because I have no real interest in seeing it when it came out, because I am an absolute hoe for Brendan Fraser. The Mummy Returns, or The Mummy, I think it was just called The Mummy, whatever it was called. This is The Mummy Demastered. I saw some screenshots of this, and I saw a blue robot man firing a gun running around a cave system, and I went, oh, cool, that's another Turrican ripoff. It turns out, no, it's not a Turrican ripoff whatsoever. What it is a Super Metroid ripoff. And when I say that, I mean that in the most, lavishing the most amount of praise on that as possible. These guys really loved Super Metroid, and if you love Super Metroid, it's just another one of those games. Highly recommended. When people ask me what the appeal of Raspberry Pis are to me, specifically when making micro game consoles, one of my responses every time is the fact that it has a random button. There are so many times where you can just sit there and look and look and look and not know what to play. The fact that it's got a random button means that things like this happen. I hit random and it gives me a game called Brainlord. It's called Brainlord. Of course I'm going to play it. So what Brainlord is basically like a Zelda-style top-down adventure game. Although the game does really rely on item management and, most importantly, familiar management. You've got to swap out familiars. You can have 2 at a time. Very interesting game. If I had to compare it to something, it would probably be Alundra, but for the Super Nintendo. Look, I know what you're thinking, but I'm not being ironic and I'm not being sarcastic. I absolutely adore Reservoir Dogs for the PlayStation 2. I've got 60 seconds, I could talk about this all day, but I'm going to quickly tell you why. Okay, first things first, the best licensed games in the world really do appreciate the source material, and this game absolutely lives by that source material. It takes inconsequential pieces of dialogue and turns them into game mechanics. Speaking of game mechanics, the game is not an action game. You are told specifically to get from the beginning of the game to the end of the game and not shoot anybody, not to kill anybody, including cops. The game is essentially like Half-Life 2 or Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil or PsyOps or Second Sight or Star Wars The Force Unleashed. It's a physics game, but instead of a gravity gun and a box, you are using a shotgun and a hostage. This is a puzzle game, and it is fantastic. Okay, so halfway through the list we find Operation Tango for the PlayStation 4. On its surface it seems just like a regular spy game, but if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I am a massive fan of the 1980s children's TV show Nightmare. Basically what it was a child was basically put in a green screen room and blindfolded, and 3 teammates in the different room would see what the child couldn't see and tell him where to step and where to move and who to interact with and get through all puzzles together. The key to beating that show was great communication. And Operation Tango is the closest I will ever be to being on that show. What you are is essentially a spy. You have one spy in the real world, in the 3D world, and then you have, as Ned from Spider-Man would say, their guy in the chair who's controlling all the IP addresses and getting all the gadgets and doing all the like cool hacking stuff. Fantastic game, promotes great communication. Okay, so Silent Hill 1 probably holds my personal record for the amount of times I have started a game, played for about 10 minutes and then stopped. For decades now, I have never got past the cafe. Mostly because I was a massive Resident Evil fan and Silent Hill never looked or played quite as well as that game, and I just instantly dismissed it. 2021, however, I got into it in a big bad way, and boy did it get its hooks in me. Silent Hill is one of the most terrifying games I have ever played. It is so good and so well written and so dark. Like the actual subject matter for Silent Hill 1 is just horrific. I also did play to completion Silent Hill 2 as well last year, and out of the 2 I think 1 is far superior. I know people love 2, but Silent Hill 1 is just a dark, depressing, fantastic nightmare. Okay, so I understand a lot of people love It Takes Two, and they're right to. It is a beautiful looking, beautiful sounding, beautifully playing game. But for my money, the thing it gets right the most is the thing that a lot of games just don't get right. The perfect example that I can think of is BioShock Infinite. That game was a lot of fun, but the storytelling and the gameplay are absolutely mismatched. What you are doing as a player does not match at all with the story that they are trying to tell. It's completely the opposite. It Takes Two gets it so right. The game is about communication and how breakdowns in communication can stop you from achieving your goals, which as a player is exactly what you are doing. The gameplay and the story are matched perfectly. It is a fantastic game, and if you haven't played it by now, get someone that you communicate really well with, whoever it is, and play it.
In 2017, I played my very first Castlevania game, and since then I have been absolutely hooked. I have played all of those Metroidvania Castlevanias to death. Since then, I've been branching out and just looking for other Metroidvanias that I could get my hands on. So, obviously, Bloodstained I have played to death as well, and a couple of others. And I found a list of, best Metroidvanias that aren't Castlevanias. And on that list was a game called Blasphemous. Looking at the screenshots, I saw this amazing pixel art with this, horrific body horror gothic artwork, and it just instantly hooked me. When I played it, it is 100% a Symphony of the Night Metroidvania. They absolutely love that game, they appreciate it, and for all of its gory and gothic nature, it is a superbly fun and challenging time. Okay, so coming into the top 3, and at number 3 is Superliminal. Now, Superliminal also happens to be the last game that I played and finished in 2021. So the fact that it went straight to number 3 tells you exactly what I think about it. The game touched me on a completely profound level. Again, if I was to be completely reductive about it, I would say that it's a cross between Portal and Chris Nolan's Inception, a fact that is not lost on the creators, seeing as there are items and locations from that film in the game. It's more than that, it's more profound than that. If you want to overcome, any problems, you need to look at something from a different angle, and that is how you progress, mechanically in the game. But even things like fear and loneliness and feelings of worthlessness can all be overcome just by taking that issue and looking at it from a separate angle. Incredibly profound, and I encourage everyone to give it a go. So for the entire time that I've owned a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4, I've never once ever considered buying or playing any of the Dark Souls games. The Tolkien-esque sword and sorcery combined with the insane difficulty that everyone keeps banging on about has never appealed to me. Bloodborne, however, though, the aesthetics of Bloodborne really do ring my bell. The weird gothic European-infused architecture and character designs, along with the incredibly dark H.P. Lovecraft ancient god theme, is just what I am into. It got its hooks into me. I am now in a weird state of Stockholm Syndrome where I love it, but I know that it's a one-sided relationship. However, I'm more than willing to say that it's the second best game that I have played all year. So as I mentioned previously, 2021 was the year where I discovered Wonderboy 3 and the Dragon's Trap. And I love that game a lot. I've played all the ports of it. And while looking up YouTube videos for that game, I kept seeing the same comment come up again and again and again, which was, if you like this, you'll like Shantae. And that name rang a bell, and then it took me a while, but I remembered that when I was building those Raspberry Pi mini consoles for myself and my friends, Shantae was the name of a Game Boy Color game. So I thought, I love the Dragon's Trap, let me play Shantae. As soon as I played that game, I instantly fell in love. Yes, it is a very, very, very clear homage to the Dragon's Trap. But instead of a boy that gets transformed into all these mythical animals in order to access new areas, you play as a half genie. A girl whose mother was a genie and father we still don't really know about. And by doing specific dances, she can change into different animals, and then that grants you access to different bits of a level. So if you think about it, it's in the same way as Dragon Trap, a very linear Metroidvania, if you want to put it like that. The difference is, though, that Way Forward really do hammer down on these graphics. They are so well animated. The soundtrack as well is fantastic. But what a lot of people don't realize is they are genuinely funny. The first game came out on the Game Boy Color and is basic. The remaining 4 games have all been ported to the PlayStation 4. I've played the first 4 games, including the Game Boy Color. So the second game, Risky's Revenge, the third game, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, and the fourth game, Half Genie Hero. They're all available on the PlayStation 4 and are highly recommended. Fantastic graphics, great scripts, genuinely funny, and brilliant examples of platforming.
Okay, there you go. Those are the games that I've had the most fun with, or spent the most time with, or that really spoke to me in 2021. Not through lack of trying. Like, some of those games really tried to hook me in, and it took a long time for it to happen. But, it happened. 2021 was the year where I finally gave them a go, and now they're some of my favourite games of all time. Just, as a quick pointer, I buy next to no full price games anymore. Like, literally none, unless it's something that I've been looking forward to for many, many years. I don't spend a lot of money on games. All of those digital games on this list or the honourable mentions list, I spend no more than about £6-7 because there's always a sale going on. So, you know what I mean? And the physical games, the games where I own the box, like, no more than a fiver in CEX. Like, you can always pick up these games super cheap. Give them a go. Like, honestly, they have been complete blind buys for the best part. I literally buy them because I look at the box art and go, this looks pretty cool. Or I'm on a sales page and I just like the image that goes with the sale. Combined with the low price, I'm just going to give it a punt. It's definitely worth just, getting out of your comfort zone and just trying something. If you don't like it, if you've lost a couple of quid, you've lost a couple of quid, but at least you haven't lost like a lot of money. So yeah, definitely get out there and give some of these games a go, because there are some hidden gems. Oh man, that's an overused term, isn't it? There are some absolute bangers out. No, that's even worse. There are some really good games that you didn't know about. That's boring. What can I say? There's a lot of fun to be had out there. And it's in some unexpected place. Oh, whatever. There are some hidden gems out there. There are some great hidden gems out there that I didn't even know existed until I started playing them. And I'm really excited to find some more in 2022. Like, hopefully this happens again and I can go, there's been this game that's been out for decades. I didn't know about it, but here it is. I had a lot of fun playing it. So hopefully that happens. So yeah, anyway, have a great 2022. Like, honestly, have a fantastic 2022. Hopefully it's better than 2021. It's definitely going to be better than the year we don't talk about. So yeah, let's all take care of each other and wear a mask and sanitize your hands and, just generally be nicer to each other. And yeah, if we look out for each other, then we'll all do a lot better, won't we? All right. Cheers. Happy New Year. This is Vimto. Like, actually, seriously, this is Vimto. Peace.